Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to set up correctly for night portraits. Shooting at night can be quite daunting, but if you can pull it through, the portraits can be really interesting. And also those little night lights can be turned into beautiful round blurry bokehs in the background. It can look really nice at night. And with the right technique and the right tools, I'll show you how you can nail the shot every time. Alright, my name is William Ong and I'm a photographer, videographer, and also content creator. I'm also a full-time educator and a lecturer. Shooting with speedlights or a flash can be a really daunting task, especially in challenging lighting situations like nighttime. And if you do it incorrectly, you might even get out like the shots overexposed or harsh shadows and harsh lightings and end up with really undesirable effects. And I've been photographing people at night a lot of times and I find it really fun. And here I'm going to share what I know, what camera settings I use, what techniques I use, what equipment I use, and lighting tips for you guys to be able to follow what I do. So let's go through the equipment that you'll be needing for your night shoot. Remember, you do not need to use the exact equipment that I used. You can use anything that's similar. You may use the equipment that you already have. You can use the lighting that you already have. Doesn't have to be the same. First of all, you will want to have the lens that can shoot wide open aperture like f1.8 or wider. Prime lenses are ideal for that. You can start with 50mm 1.8, which is reasonably affordable for most camera brands. Most prime lenses will be able to do that just fine. But also zoom lenses that shoot aperture like f2.8 are okay, especially if they're like telephoto lens like 7200 or 100mm lens at f2.8, they'll still be able to create that bokeh. Keep in mind, the wider the aperture, the nicer the bokeh will look. Secondly, of course, you're going to need a flash. You can use any speedlights like Canon 580EX2 or any brand from Sony, Nikon, Godox, Newer, anything that will work fine. So you're going to start low and slowly increase the flash power if you require. And if your flash comes with a diffuser, or if you have a snap-on diffuser, put it on so that they will help you spread the light a little bit more evenly to avoid harsh shadows. And then to trigger the flash remotely, you're going to need the transmitter and the receiver pair. And there are quite a lot of different brands in the market, and I also have different brands that I've collected. Doesn't matter whatever brand that you use, and you don't need high-end features. As long as you can trigger the flash remotely, that'll do just fine. So the flash goes on top of the receiver, and then try to test it out if it works. Once it's ready, the transmitter can then go on to top of the camera hot shoe. And then test it again if it works. Another item you'll be needing is something like a portable LED light. It can be something big like Aperture Amaran LED lights or something that more affordable like the Ulanzi VL49. If you don't have them, a torch light like this is fine as well. It doesn't need to have special features, it doesn't have to be super bright. And this item will come really handy and I'm going to explain to you a little bit later in the video why you need this. And other than that, of course, you're going to need a camera, a tripod, and a light stand. Let's start looking at the camera settings. We will be shooting at the full manual mode. For the aperture, we're going to set as wide as your lens will allow. Normally, we will try to aim to get about f1.8. For the shutter, we want to go a little bit slow, roughly about 1/20th second or 1/30th second or even slower. But if your model is standing in a bright spot, you might need to crank the shutter up a bit. Ideally, you want to find a spot that's really dark, and also because I want the flash to be the only light source that's lighting up the model, so that the ambient light is not going to have any effect on your subject. That will make sure the subject's going to be reasonably sharp. And for ISO, I'll recommend starting around ISO 400. You can change the ISO setting along the way, and also take note that ISO should be the first thing that comes to your mind if you need to make the scene brighter or a little bit darker. And for white balance, I'll recommend setting it to flash. Alright, here we're at the location. We're setting up the light stands and the flashes. The flashes go on the top of these little flash stands. And notice that these flash stands also come with like umbrella port, so you can actually put an umbrella and use it as a diffuser. And of course, we'll be using the tripod, so the camera will be mounted on top of the tripod, and then the light trigger will be mounted on top of the camera. And also, a portable speedlight softbox is really handy. My personal favorite is like a flash softbox like this one. They're easy to assemble, and also reasonably affordable, and also quite easy to transport. Here we go. You just fold it, and they become a little ball. Another alternative, of course, you can use an umbrella, and you can shoot the flash through a diffuser like this ones. The ones that you can normally find in the middle of your 5-in-1 reflector. Lastly, you can also use a reflector as a bounce light. Okay, now everything's easy, but one of the first problems that you're likely to encounter is problem focusing in the dark. Especially in the dark, you're going to see your camera lens going forward and backward searching for the focus. Especially if you're using autofocus. But you're not going to be able to use manual either because you can't focus what you cannot see. But to be able to see and focus in the dark, this is where the LED light that I mentioned earlier comes in super handy. So the trick here is to point your LED light at your subject while you're searching for focus. So once the focus is locked, you take the LED away, press the shutter release button on the camera and snap. You can use either manual or autofocus. I'm using autofocus here. And here you can see one of my students lighting up the subject using the LED light. And once the photographer locks on the focus, the photographer counts 1, 2, and at the count of 2, the assisting student points the light away from the subject. And then the photographer presses the shutter at the count of 3. And if you're shooting alone without any assistants or any helpers to help with, you can do that solo as well. The trick is to aim the LED light at the subject and find the focus. The moment you can lock the focus, you can point it away, 1, 2, 3, snap. And here we go, we got a nice and simple lighting setup for night portraits. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And follow me for more videos like this, and I will see you in the next.